Tonight on Killing Eve, we're almost to the end. Aaron goes after Villanelle. Villanelle takes on Nico, and Eve's getting vulnerable. Don't go anywhere.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's going on, everybody? Episode 7. Can you guys believe it? We have only one more big finale after this one. I'm Haley J. To my left, we've got Deliah and Erika. Hey, guys. Ladies, as always, joining me to dive into this episode. So I always say this, but we've got a lot to get to.
Oh, yeah.
So our big topics of this episode were Aaron taking Villanelle to lunch, which then obviously leads to Rome and seeing a bigger side of Aaron Peele's very creepy personality. And then Villanelle coming after Nico and her whole plot that we will fast forward to once we see the end of what she does to poor Gemma and what her whole agenda is with while she goes after Nico, what her plan is with that. And then we're seeing Eve let her guard down where she's actually, I think, admitting to other people and herself that she's a little more attached than she should be in this case. It's business is definitely mixing with pleasure, and she's letting us inside to see what she's really feeling. So, of course, we have our special segment where Erika is going to tell us all about the creepy people that we should avoid if they're still living, kind of resembling Villanelle, but we like her. All right. So, first of all, what do you guys think of tonight's episode?
I thought Aaron was super weird again, but like an extra layer of weirdness where he just likes to control everything. But I was loving Rome and all the luxuries and the clothes, so I was kind of for it. I was like, I'll deal with your weirdness. But
yeah, I definitely thought it was a very fun episode, you know, with him, but it was very kind of scary to think that this person was going to buy all her clothes and was constantly watching her via video camera and stuff. That was really, really frightening, but yeah, really interesting to see how she handled it and played it. So really good episode.
I felt like he played that character really well as far as being creepy and just even the posture of staying so still. I think he was definitely the right person to play that character because all those things come into play, just your mannerisms and really just being creeped out by the way they approach things and their movements. I thought he did a good job. But overall, I thought this episode was definitely telling of what's going to happen in the finale, even though I don't want to jump too far with predictions, but we see that right now it looks like Eve and Villanelle are getting along pretty well. I'm not even nervous anymore when they're in the same room. I don't think Villanelle's going to suddenly kill Eve or vice versa, but I think in the finale we might see them have a little tension, but we'll get to that at some point. But so let's talk about Aaron Peele and his creepy approach and him and his control. Like, talk about, you know, stage 5 clinger, a guy being controlling, but I think he seems like the type of guy that is used to getting his way. His money speaks for him. Clearly he's smart, but my question immediately is, don't you think a guy who does his research, he's very involved in people's backgrounds, he knows a lot about them, don't you think there's something suspicious about Villanelle to him? And obviously he thinks she's Billy at this point, and I know that he's interested more so because he couldn't find out a lot about her, and I think that's what's intriguing. She's a challenge to him, but isn't it a little odd that when we first saw her with him, she hits him with a book, and now she's so submissive? Is that not suspicious behavior that all of a sudden she wants to do whatever he says, or do you think maybe she's manipulated by the money in this situation and circumstance?
I don't know. I thought she was kind of like with us and figuring him out at the moment because we knew he was controlling and we knew he was a certain way, and she is trying not to get in trouble because of her job. But it almost felt like she's just testing the water. She's just kind of being like, all right, what is this world? I'll do what you say. But it wasn't, I don't think it's because
from her standpoint, I know she's trying to just do her job. But if I were him, I would think there's something up with this girl. She was such a firecracker with me, and now she wants to do whatever I say.
But I feel like he almost feels like he found someone that's just as weird as him because she's so detached as well. Like, they both are, I think, are psychopaths. And I think that was what the doctor had said, that they both speak the same language. Or understand
so they
each other
understand each other like others
on the
can't.
same wavelength.
Yeah, I mean, I did notice that too, because I was like, okay, she was sort of, that's what he kind of found attractive originally, was that she was sort of fighting back. But I think he wasn't really being as derogatory as he was before. So it was more like, okay, eat this, wear this. And it was just weird, you know, like more so than like to get you mad. It was just like
he's
crazy.
Super weird. Like that's his
of all
thing.
the weird things he did, what's the one that stood out to you guys the most that he asked of her?
The belt. like, I thought that was really weird. Well, I've seen that before. Men in power usually like to control, like, even down to what you wear. So I've seen that before with, like, really high, like, men who are really high in stature, and, like, they'll have their wives come out in dress and they'll be like, you're not wearing that to the event, like, take it off. They'll look better on the model. Like, I've seen it with men who have a lot of power, so it's a power thing. And yeah, I was like, oh, that just sits so wrong with me. It's just about he wearing it all wrong. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I think for me, the creepiest was him just like sitting there watching her eat all the time, and he wasn't eating anything. Like, that seemed okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take you for ice cream and just watch you eat ice cream.
That's true.
That part was kind of
Little
creepy.
fetishy almost.
Yeah, like that part was weird, especially like, so you don't eat. Like, that's the part where it's like, okay, that part was kind of.
Do you guys think he gets off, like, because you know how Villanelle says that she likes to sleep with them and touch them and everything, but he doesn't like to, so he likes to keep that distance. Do you guys think he likes to get off in that way, like remain far away but know everything about
I could
them?
see that because I think that he is a very private person in all ways. So I think that his idea of enjoyment is seeing the vulnerable side to other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like feeling like he has every aspect of control, whether it's sexual or mental, whatever it is, knowing everything he needs to know about them, but not giving them in return knowing about him.
Yeah.
But to me, the weirdest thing was the chocolate and spitting out the orange chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
What would you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
do if, and typically, I don't know about you guys, but I've never been to Rome and had a guy give me a full closet of clothes. It all seems exciting to be in that situation at first, but if I had a guy being so controlling,
Yeah.
telling me to spit out a candy that I liked, but he didn't, that to me is a little crazy.
Yeah,
a
I
lot
think-
crazy, actually.
Yeah, I think it was to the level of, like, I was with Villanelle. She kind of was just doing it just to be like, all right, like, be like, I'm gonna figure you out eventually. But yeah, I would have been like, I probably would have swallowed it. If it's my candy, I'm gonna eat it.
Right?
I
and
wanna
and once you
finish it.
taste it
Yeah.
already, it's like, oh, just try the cookie and spit it out. Like,
Yeah.
nah, no.
Yeah, that's weird. But I also feel like maybe it was just like so shocking where you're like, what? This person told me to do that you just kind of go along with it. But
Well, that's the biggest thing with Erin Peele. Does she know that he's watching her from the room? She doesn't know that, right?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think she's aware.
Aside from that, he's very vocal about, I want to watch you eat. I want you to, like, I want you to know that I researched you. So he's not trying to hide that he's very creepy.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
letting her know that. But I think what you said, they're kind of a match for each other. But I do wonder if Villanelle is putting on the character of Billy for the sake of the job.
Right.
So I do feel like there's a part of her that's like, I just want to stab this guy so bad right now.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like,
Yeah.
at some point, there's going to be a Villanelle being reckless and mess up the job. Because that's kind of what she does. Sometimes she kind of goes off in her own ways and just kind of sometimes messes it.
It does seem, though, when they have the conversation on the couch at the end, that there is a part of her that's now actually intrigued by him. And it seems like she's coming on to him.
Yeah. Even Hugo said that.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. It does seem like she's kind of really getting into it.
And either she's having fun messing with him, or there's a part of her that wanted to, because when a girl and a guy are in a room together and then she asks, do you ever think about touching someone? It kind of seems like she wants the conversation to go in that direction.
Because she's so sexual. Like, that's
Right.
one of her weapons. Not that she uses sex as her weapon, but she does sleep with her
I think
victims.
it's, she feels empowered by it.
And so he is, I think, threatened by that fact because she can have that intimacy, like the way she is with Eve. It's even a sexual tension that draws them together, versus he has like this thing with Billy, but it's at a distance. He's like in understanding them like with the mind. I think it's more intellectual.
What do we think about Aaron's at the dinner table with the business guys and him knowing everything about them, and what did we think that developed about his character?
Holy shit, that's what I thought. I was like, what?
called him out.
I was like,
Yeah.
that was intense. Like, just
Yeah.
knowing everything
And
down to
Villanelle loved that too.
Yeah, she
because I think that's
loved
something
it.
that she would find fun to do, just to really call someone out and especially expose them and their sexuality and their money. And I knew you texted your mom, and I would be terrified
your
if
wife
someone knew.
almost tried to kill you, but she
And
didn't go
the
through with
exact
it.
time you guys had sex, I'd be like, whoa,
Yeah, I was like, what? Okay, this was.
I would not want to mess
this
with that
is-
guy.
Yeah, this is a.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like I don't know what he does or whatever, but I understand why he's so powerful, because that is to have that much dirt on someone, y'all. That's
Definitely psychopath
Yeah.
material.
Right.
that's
Just
so
picture
dangerous.
him sitting alone, watching him watch other people. That's like that's how he gets off in every way. But What do we think he was like as a child? Like, how does one turn into this type of person?
No idea.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I felt like that, I guess whatever he's selling, like if it's software or whatever, he's like, okay, let me show you what it can do. And I found out all this information about you. And so it really is intriguing that he took the time to even develop something that's sort of insidious and, you know, and that could affect criminals and governments across the world, really. So
I really think that would be like the biggest threat. Like that would be the biggest weapon, information.
Right,
On
exactly.
people.
Absolutely, like power of knowledge.
Yeah.
And then almost making your opponent feel like you're always one step ahead because you knew their plan all along. So you know the next step or direction that they probably go in.
Like this is a really good villain.
Yeah.
It is.
like,
And that
he's a
creepy
great
character.
Yeah.
It's like the nerd comes out on top. It's like always be nice to
It's
the nerds.
so weird. 'Cause
Right,
I love,
exactly.
I love when he comes on. Like I don't understand it. Like I don't like him. I don't want to like him, but I'm looking forward to his scenes. I'm like, is he gonna be on? Is Aaron like what the hell is he gonna do? Like that's weird. That I want to know.
No, I agree. He's very creepy. It's really interesting. Yeah, for sure.
And of course, we always want to know what you guys think, so be sure to go on the YouTube page, leave comments, let us know what you're thinking, because we have too many thoughts to keep in mind. So anything that you can rate, subscribe to the channels would help us out so much, because it's easy to get lost in your thoughts with these episodes. And that's why I can't believe we had one more left.
I know.
It's a quick season.
I know, it flew. It's always the best shows that you feel like they don't give you enough, but I think that's what we need. And I do wonder if the show getting more progress and more people picking up, especially within the second season, I wonder if they'll extend season 3
I
at
don't
all.
think so, because if you know the creator, she also did Fleabag, and Fleabag also only has like 8 episodes or 6 episodes per season. So I think that's just like the way they write it. They just write it out for 6 or 8 seasons. I mean, for 8 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of British shows are only like 8 episodes a season.
Oh, is that normal for
TV?
British TV?
Yeah, for a lot of British TV shows. Yeah.
That is kind of cool in a way, because it keeps you wanting more. It keeps you interested. And I do think a lot of times people end up getting bored or they miss episodes and it's almost like, oh, I'm too far gone now. So maybe that is a good strategy, actually, to not have it be information overload, especially with a show like this.
Yeah, this is intense too. Can you imagine being an actor and having to do like 18 episodes?
That would be challenging.
Yeah.
For
I would
sure.
really love if we had the opportunity to maybe next season talk to one of the guys on set, because we know this is a very strong female set.
Right.
So I wonder if they feel a shift in a typical movie set where there may be more guys, a male director, just like, I mean, there are multiple guys within the episodes, but at the same time, it is known for being a very female-dominated show. So I'm wondering if the dynamic on set is any different.
Be interesting.
Yeah, hopefully next season we'll get somebody in here.
That'd be fun. If you're watching out there, we'd like to talk to you. And then, of course, we got to get to Villanelle and her approach with Nico. You guys, they really left us hanging for a long time. I even looked at you while we were watching, like, is that it? Are we going to find out anything more about this?
Yeah.
Right.
Why do we think Villanelle did that?
Well, I felt like, okay, so she was trying to understand if Nico was still after Eve, right? Because she was like, do you love her still? I don't know why she killed Gemma. Was that a message to Eve? Because she couldn't kill Nico. She would never forgive him.
I definitely think a part of her wanted to have fun, and then another part of her, because we always know she's sending some type of message. She's always got a plan.
I did not enjoy this part, y'all. I just got a storage locker myself.
Oh, no.
So I was like watching this and I was like, I am never
Yeah,
going
don't go
back.
alone.
I was so scared, you guys. I've been, no,
my
I'm not.
gosh.
So
Yeah, that's
that was
funny.
terrible.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of thought she did it to kind of like scare Nico away from maybe going back to Eve, because he was like, yeah, I still love Eve or whatever. And, you know, I think this was kind of her sign to him, like, don't go back, I think.
So you think it was for Nico and not for Eve?
Yeah, because I'm not sure. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know. Like, is he going to, because isn't that his storage locker, right?
Yeah, that's his
Right.
stuff.
So he's going to have to get rid of her.
I agree with you. Where I didn't so much think it was for Eve, just because we
Because
saw.
I don't know if Eve is actually going to find her or find out about it, because
Unless Nico tells her.
yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I think
'Cause-
she'll find out, but I don't think it will be the main plot right now. I think it'll come up later. You know, I think she will at some point. It'll be
Because she
addressed.
can't kill Nico. She knows
Right.
that. At least right now, she can't kill him because there's still feelings.
It is almost a questionable act, because if she kind of takes away Nico's interest, then that just really leaves Eve and Nico again.
Right.
Because I don't see Nico just picking up another girl. So it's almost questionable of why Villanelle would set it up to be just them two. You'd think you would want him out of the picture. You'd think Villanelle would want him with Gemma, actually.
But she also said that they had great sex after they had that encounter together in the hallway, or was it outside where she runs into Nico and then afterwards he gets so powerful with her. So I don't know if she's also kind of being like, if you're going to be with her, this is the kind of man you have to be.
See, I don't know, because I feel like if you know that she murdered this girl and basically left her in a storage room to implicate you, so he's either going to have to get rid of her body or call the police and explain something that basically sounds crazy, because I'm sure his fingerprints are the only thing there.
Right,
so I think theoretically he's got to be frightened. Like, he has to be like, okay, if I go back to Eve, maybe she'll kill Eve. Like, I don't know. I feel like he'll be scared enough not to go back, like really out of fear. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. Is he locked in too? He's locked.
It looked like it. It looked like they were
inside.
locked because he looked like he was sleeping on the floor, right?
So he'd have to like scream to get out of the locker, unless.
And so many questions of, we just see at the very end Gemma hanging there, or not hanging, but she's got the mask and she's been suffocated, it looks like.
Yeah.
So where was Nico when that happened? Because he wakes up to be surprised to find her that way.
Well, she drugged him because there was pills on the floor, and so
I must have missed that. I
yeah,
didn't
there
see
was
that.
pills like that were spread. So she obviously drugged him, and he was like knocked out.
Okay.
Well,
I thought he was
That
knocked
makes
out. I
sense,
don't know.
because
if
I'm
I
like,
saw the
what'd she do to him? While
Yeah,
that
it was like
happening?
very subtle, like camera work at the beginning of the scene.
And I think because I have a theory, just because we saw Nico get a little bit physical with Villanelle, not like she was ever afraid of him, but I do think that maybe this was her showing him like, yeah, you can be a tough guy, but I will kill people. So I'm the one in charge. I think maybe she needed to put him back in his place a little bit. And she's having fun with it. I really think she enjoyed every step of the way of scaring Gemma and even mimicking her, and then toying around with, I just want the shepherd's pie recipe, and really just having a lot of fun and terrifying these pretty much innocent people.
Yeah, I wonder, a part of me wonders if she would not have killed Gemma if Gemma wasn't so annoying.
Right.
Like,
I know,
I'm just
right?
wondering if it's like, if she had just stopped saying Nico, like if she would have just like let it like slide. That's the part of me that's
Do we
just
think
like,
that's a real British accent?
her, the
Gemma
one,
as like her real person.
I think she's like, she has a British accent, but it's from like the southern part.
Nico.
Like it's kind of more of a, I don't know, southern kind of. I don't know. I know it's like a region because it's a different dialect, but I've heard it before. But it's very, I want to say towny, the equivalent of towny in Boston. Yeah, it's
And
not
then-
like high posh British.
High posh. And Villanelle is very posh, so I can see how she would not like anyone that is not on the posh level as her. But she made the comment saying, you were so close that I would have let you go if you just said you didn't love Eve. Do we believe her? Do we think that she really would have been like, okay, bye?
Maybe. I think I do kind of believe her if he had been like, I'm letting you two be together. I think she would have backed off. I personally think she would have.
Yeah, I don't think she would have.
You think she would have killed
No,
him
because
either way?
like even if Nico doesn't say anything, she really would have had no way to control Gemma
That's
from
true.
talking ever. So I pretty much think. Yes,
I also felt like it was a test of his loyalty. I feel like in a way she would be upset if he didn't say he still loved her, to prove that, can you admit that you still love her in front of Gemma, who like, how serious are you with Gemma type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But that would be a little weird if he already loved Gemma at this point. They've been hanging out for like 2 days.
it is so confused. I don't understand Villanelle, really. I'm just like, girl, like you want Eve, but at the same time she's still playing with her ex-husband.
Well, that's another thing. Moving on to how Eve has been acting, we're seeing her almost get a little obsessive with her. Every 2 seconds she's calling in, I just want to make sure you're okay. Multiple calls. She seems like the girl that thinks her boyfriend is cheating and wants to just make sure she's checking in. Like, she's got that location on. She's got everything set perfectly to make sure that she knows exactly what Villanelle's doing, which is where I get confused seeing that Villanelle's almost... Do you think she was encouraging Eve to go sleep with Hugo?
Oh, definitely. She wanted her to get off. somehow. But like,
But she wanted that to be with Hugo. I kind of thought she was just like encouraging her to like
masturbate.
handle it herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
felt like I didn't know if she wanted it to be with Hugo.
Yeah,
but
I don't think so because I don't, like I don't think she really thought of who's going to be in the room with Eve anyway. So I don't even know. So I don't think she intended Eve to sleep with Hugo.
But I think as long as she got off, she didn't care while still thinking about her and listening to her.
Right.
Was the whole
I guess
point.
technically that's kind of sweet.
Because Eve doesn't care. Eve, I mean, not Eve.
Eve clearly doesn't care about
I mean,
Hugo.
like Villanelle doesn't care who she sleeps with or how she gets off because she's open to whatever
Right.
kind of
Do
sexual
we think
situation.
Eve would feel the same way if, say, Villanelle ends up getting with Aaron?
No, I don't think so.
Because to me, I
don't
think Villanelle might go with Aaron, just depending on whatever happens in this next episode. But we were led to believe that was a high possibility in this episode. So I would be very surprised if Eve was just like, yeah, as long as you're happy too. I don't think she would enjoy listening to that,
I think that would be their fight. I think that would actually cause them to actually.
which could be a foreshadow because we see a slap happen in the next episode. So I do wonder if that has anything to do with it. But then there's a part of both of the characters that also love this cat and mouse game, and I think the jealousy and the fire is what keeps them also so into each other at the same time.
Right, that's true.
So what do we think about Eve telling Dr. Martin that is he a doctor? I know we found out his name's Martin. We're like, who is this guy? But what do we think about her very easily admitting that, yes, I'm too attached, and people that she's working with feeling like she should be off the project because of it?
Well, that's the thing that I'm confused about because Constantine was talking to Carolyn about when they were talking about Villanelle, and we know that Martin had told them that she should be off the case because she was too attached.
Right.
They kept her on the case. They know how obsessed she's become with Villanelle. So I'm starting to question what the motives are, why they were asking her all these questions about her psychology, like her behavior, like any kind of actions or anything. So I kind of feel like they're making her become super obsessed with Villanelle, or they've worked that angle with her.
You think it's almost like she's doing exactly what they wanted her to do.
Exactly, because they would have taken her off if you have an agent that's obsessed with the serial killer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are having some plan between her and Villanelle. You know what I'm saying? I think they have some sort of plan that they're kind of walking into.
I don't think we can trust Constantine and Carolyn at all.
Right,
Well,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
And they even make these eye contact, when they say random words, or they just understand, oh yeah, well, and
It's
Carolyn
all
just
going exactly
yeah,
according to
Carolyn
plan,
just said
walking
something
into the
witty.
trap.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So
That is a very smart writing strategy and whole dynamic of technically opposing forces. It's like good and evil that are joining with not only Villanelle and Eve, but also this whole production, this whole business. They're now all maybe on the same side, and who's against who.
Yeah.
I really don't want to see Eve and Villanelle go against each other.
I don't think they will, but they have made Eve become super obsessed with Villanelle.
And Villanelle loves that.
Yeah.
You saw her reaction when she's listening to the voicemails. It's like when you're finally getting the text from the guy
Right,
you want,
yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
yes, I got him type thing. I think she's talking about having someone right where you want him. I think she finally feels like Eve likes me. She knew that obviously, but now she's getting that actual reaction. And when Eve was at Villanelle's place earlier and the girl left, what was that? Was that signifying that maybe Villanelle was with her, or do you guys know anything about that one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we've seen other episodes where Villanelle will just sleep with random people, and then Constantine, I think, showed up one time and she was in the bed with two people. So I think it's sort of just, she's sort of casual sometimes, I think, with sexuality, and so I think
and
that's
Eve
why.
saying, "Is anyone else here? Does anyone else want to come out?" So I think it's almost like acceptance of, yeah, I know this is the type of person you are, but just kind of making that dig. I feel like she's also expressing that she's not exactly happy with it at the same time.
right.
But I don't know if I see Eve ever saying, hey, I want it to be just us in the end type thing, because like we've said before, I don't know if that is possible for them.
I think she's kind of drawn to Villanelle being so open, it's almost exciting for her if they were to have a third party join them or not, or whether they're trying to kill each other and they're having sex. I think that whole question mark with Villanelle is what draws her sexually to her, because it's not missionary or boring.
So what happens when the fire dies? What do we think is left of that relationship?
Oh, I don't think it could. I don't know. I'm starting to think like if Eve is becoming more and more obsessed, if she's developing some sort of psychoses that, I don't know. If she becomes crazy too, then they could probably work.
Let's dive into this a little more of Eve becoming crazy. That's something that Martin actually asked her. Are you feeling like you're doing things out of character? Eve says yes. So what do you think she was thinking of when she answered yes so honestly? What particular act do you think she was like, this is something unlike what I would do?
I think just being thinking about her probably 24/7 to the point of like she was going to stay up all night to just hear her breathing, or just the fact that Villanelle started talking back to her, but she was going to just stay up all night.
Right. I think just her being more and more obsessed, and then probably eventually sleeping with Hugo. But at that point, I think just her being so obsessive with her and constantly, kind of, wanting to make sure she's okay and just all of that. I think that's kind of mostly what she was.
And she's also losing that feeling for other people. You got to remember, she didn't care how Hugo felt in the morning. She didn't want anything to do, and she doesn't care about Nico and his feelings. Like, she's really just become obsessed with Villanelle and like completely sidebar.
She has seemed to move on from Nico pretty quickly.
And it's just like she's just
and
detached.
just saying, my husband left me, as a matter of fact, not like, yes, my husband left me and I'm in a horrible spot. She's like, that happened, yes, move on.
She's cutting off all these soft emotional things that used to make her what she was, a great investigator, that she can pick up on social cues. The fact that she was even with that psychopath that killed 3 women, and he's just like,
that's a good point, where she just kind of laughed it off as a joke. I do think she's picking up on that Villanelle sense of humor,
right?
And she's becoming desensitized when that's her line of work, and she's around killers, and she's friends and love interest with a very dangerous killer in itself. And then my mind went farther of just her obsession with Villanelle. I thought of when she almost pushed the guy in front of the track.
That's a good point.
Becoming this person, whether Villanelle's around or not. I think Villanelle's so intriguing to her because it's everything that Eve, like we talked about before, peeling back the layers. I think it's everything Eve's been suppressing. And so there's just like, when they say don't press the button and everything inside of you wants to press the button, I feel like she's finally getting to press the button, and there's just this intensity and this fire behind it. But my question, like I was saying before, is what happens when she presses it? Like, what happens after that?
Well, she'd be a great assassin because she's really good at reading people, one, and like she can pick up clues very quickly. So it's not like she's very intelligent and emotionally intelligent to, I think, be even better than Villanelle as an assassin, just because of how she's able to just
even better than Villanelle.
I think so. I think
there's some fighting words, girl.
I mean, like, because like she would just know the psychology wise. Versus Villanelle has more fun and has more of a flair.
Right. No, I agree with you.
What do we think about the fact that both Kenny and Martin, the doctor that she was talking to, both said, I think you should be off the case? Do you think any part of her is just like, thanks for the information, or, oh man, people are noticing maybe this isn't safe for me? Or do you think she's just, think what you want, guys, I'm doing me at this point? I think it's more the second option.
Well, I mean, I think that she is aware that Carolyn, I mean, everybody kind of knows how obsessive she is about Villanelle at this point. So it's kind of like they're not going to take her off the case for whatever reason. I mean, the whole reason why they even brought Villanelle in to get Aaron anyway. So they're willing at this point to blur these lines. So there's no reason for her to really step back because Carolyn and everybody else is aware of it, really.
Yeah. I feel like she's just being pushed and stretched by 2 different things. One is Villanelle and one is Carolyn. Like, I just feel like I don't know if she's made a decision about the boundaries that she's willing to push.
I think you're right. I think she's finding herself through it all in the most scary, dangerous way, trying to figure out who she actually is.
You don't know how far you're willing to go until you get to that point where you're just like, okay, I'm going to stop now. But she's just like, I'm still okay, I'm still okay, I'm still okay.
Right. And we said it lightly, just that she is splitting with Nico, but that's huge. If there's someone that you're with and you think that, this can be your life, and then suddenly you're not together, I think that alone is a lot to deal with, and we haven't even really seen her cope with that. Yeah. So she's just in this line of go, go, go. Even the next morning after she, that was the first time she slept with another man since Nico, right?
Yeah,
Most of us, I think that's another sign of her turning into more of a psychopath person. Not to say that, you can't sleep with someone new and not be considered a psychopath, but that just develops more of her detached type of feelings now, where she can just do that and, hey, get us coffee, we've got work to do the next morning.
Yeah, which is why I didn't feel like it was like she slept with Hugo, even though she did. I felt like she slept with Villanelle. Like that.
I think so too. She kept Villanelle in her ear, which Hugo knew and called her out, saying thanks for the threesome.
Right.
At least Hugo understands that she's using him, so he's not going to be left heartbroken, because it's almost funny where he is very strongly coming on to her sexually, and she's just fully using him. Which, not to say this is okay and the opposite way, but that's one of the things I do love about this show being so strongly female dominated, how they're like, you know what, we're gonna switch this whole typical, the guy plays the dominance of sexuality and just using multiple women, and she kind of swapped that, where she's like, no, you're my toy and I'm calling the shots, and you're gonna be my little coffee runner in the morning and the person that's there that I'll have sex with just because you're there, not because I want you.
Yeah.
And a part of me was like, you get it, girl. And then this episode is called Wide Awake. So when she says to Martin, I feel wide awake, Delia, you're my girl that breaks it down with all the cues and the symbols. So what does that mean to you?
I thought, honestly, it was the moment where, like, she stayed up all night, hearing it, and she's crossing that line. Like, she's officially going past these barriers that we didn't really see her doing. Like, she is officially in a sexual situation with Villanelle. Like, we've seen them get close, but it's never been, like, in her ear, in her head, like, as close as possible as you can get to a person without actually being physically there. So I was like, that was eye-opening for me, because it's like, this is officially obsessive, and it's a really strong relationship.
And it's almost that more of the tension, like, you can look but you can't touch, like, I'm right here, but, like, you can't actually have me, which that's why I think it's still, like, this tension and this fire. But I do think, like, there's something's got to give once they finally, like, get to the point of no more cat and mouse game.
Yeah. Oh.
Right, that's true. I mean, I think this is also probably the most alive Eva's felt as well, and just the excitement of it is probably something that she hasn't maybe ever had. So I think that kind of plays into it as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Wide awake being the most alive she's ever felt. So
and I feel
she's finally kind of off that autopilot.
And you're getting to know yourself. Yeah. Getting to know, like, if you don't go to the dark parts of yourself, do you really know yourself? Like, do you really?
But very true. You have to see yourself, and sometimes parts of yourself that you don't like, to learn. That's kind of terrifying to maybe come to the face-to-face reality that you are in love with a killer and could potentially start to become one. Let's hope we don't find ourselves in those ways when we're Let's hope that's not a part of our self-discovery path.
No, exactly. I'll take journaling or something.
We do know that there are some psychopaths out there, which appropriately leads us to our special segment, Woman of the Week, you guys. Are you ready?
Wonder Woman! All right, so our Wonder Woman of the Week is Brigitte Monhaupt, and she is the leader of a merry gang of mostly female killers known as the Red Army, the Red Army faction, and they terrorized West Germany in the 1970s. As a student, she studied philosophy, very much like Villanelle, or Billy, or Billy as we say, and as an assassin, she was basically unrepentant, and she had a hand in as many as 9 ideologically charged murders. So the government that was in place at the time, they felt was like, the regime similar to the Nazis. So they robbed banks and murdered people and kidnapped people. So she was she was charged with the murders, including those of Dresdner Bank chief executive, a West German prosecutor, and head of the West German Employers Federation. Wow. She was eventually caught and spent almost 25 years in prison. Much to the shock of the German people, however, he's always in the same way. In 2007, this ice-cold female assassin was paroled, and to this day, she's not shown a scintilla of remorse.
Wow.
Scintilla?
Yes.
What does that mean?
like none,
Like
zero.
an inch of remorse.
I guess I could have put context clues together for that one, but
Yeah,
I like
very
that one.
little. Yeah, so that was her, when she went in, all cute, and then obviously she came out 25 years later. But still
She
looking
did the
okay,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Still, living her best life in Germany. So
Oh,
Living her best life, guys, but let's not try and emulate that. Just for the people out there that get any creative ideas. We just like to share these women out of fascination. We're not encouraging this type of behavior.
and if you're watching the
Exactly.
show, clearly you have a fascination with them too.
I feel like a lot of the people that we chose to talk about are people that Villanelle would love. We've never touched on that before, but do we think, who did Villanelle look up to as a kid and who inspired her to want to be the way she is? Do you
I
ever
don't
think
know.
that, your childhood heroes, for her, they would probably be anti-heroes? I wonder who she would be into.
I would kind of say fashion icons,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Versus an
Yeah.
assassin.
yeah, it's tough because I think a lot of the assassins that I've read about, and I guess that's how they were caught, were a lot of them have been politically based, as opposed to murder for hire people, which you don't really hear about as much. So I don't know who she would be.
Right.
Speaking of fashion, I would love to know how much Jodie, the actual woman who plays Villanelle, is involved in the fashion choices. I wonder if it's all stylists or I feel, part of me feels like she's got a hand in this, that she
I don't know.
could maybe have
But
a
whoever
say.
it is doing an amazing job.
And I
Every
like that they
single-
incorporated that in the episode because they could have left that out of just hooking her up with an amazing closet, and they incorporated that to go with the theme of Villanelle's character.
So good.
Which
Yeah.
that's what I love,
Which
the
I love that.
mixture of her happy and fun and fashion, but also very dark, and it ties together really nicely, which, like we've said before, is the reason that there are these very relatable and funny comments about her, and I think that's why she fools us, where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you just killed a couple people, we can get past it because of those human traits that we can connect with, that
we
are
still
just
want her to be our
tied
best
in.
friend. Yeah. We still want to go
we
shopping.
Still, we
with-
still want to go shopping with her.
Yeah. It's like,
Don't
okay.
get on her bad side and maybe check her luggage before, and you're
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Julia, what do we have for news?
So you
AfterBuzz TV News.
you guys, Jodie Comer almost died doing this exact
about karma. Just
episode.
kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? So the scene where she's with Aaron Peele and she's eating the pasta, she was supposed to eat it really grotesquely, and the pasta was really dry and thick that it went down the wrong tube, and she was starting to choke. But everyone on set thought she was just making an
scary.
artistic choice. No one thought she was actually choking.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, she was just the actor was just looking at her and she was like, no, it's so the medic had to get it out because she was like, okay, this is not a joke.
Oh
They
my
let it go.
gosh,
Imagine how
wow.
long they let it go. That the point she's like, it ruined pasta for her forever.
I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And you probably go into a scene thinking, oh, how fun, I got to eat pasta. But that's kind of things aren't what they appear to be. And not to be
Exactly.
gross, but it didn't look dry in the scene. It looked like it was covered in sauce.
That was probably the first take. And
Yeah.
after, how they have to do a
they're like,
ton
let's
of-
lube it up.
she was probably crying and couldn't bear
Like
to
a
do
scene
it.
that should be fun
my
is actually
gosh,
terrifying. And
exactly.
then having everyone on the side like, she's so brilliant. She's like, no, help me.
I'm turning blue.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not method acting. I'm actually going to die.
What would you do? Someone across from you is starting to do that, but you don't know because they tell you not to break, the scene. So you're just watching them. And you're just like, okay, I don't know if this is real.
I know. Creepy Aaron Peele is just watching
I can just imagine
That's
that.
one thing about theater and live shows. Can you imagine if that happened in a live show and as the character, at least you could, if you messed up the scene, you could
Yeah.
redo it. But if that was a live show, and I'm wondering how much time was in between that initial choking scene to the let's do it again.
Oh gosh, I hope she didn't have to do it again because that was probably traumatizing.
She's a true professional.
yes,
Yes, very true. Very true.
She's
And
great.
to tie it all up, I couldn't not give this away earlier, but our predictions of the final episode of Killing Eve.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I just kind of said my thoughts of I saw the slap scene. I think they're going to butt heads a little bit. I think there's obviously going to be, and rightfully so, they've been getting along for the last 3 episodes. We need a little fire here. So what do you guys think we're going to see in the finale?
I didn't know if them foreshadowing that if Villanelle were to mess up this undercover thing, it would just be Villanelle and Eve on their own. So I don't know if Villanelle would purposely try to mess things up or would just start going towards Aaron Peele's character. So that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like, I always get
Seems
really
like
weird,
Eve maybe betrays Villanelle. Because
Something like-
Villanelle, we see her,
upset.
we see her thinking that Eve was very much on her side and that maybe Eve's not as much as we thought.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that kind of, you know, a little bit with what Kenny was saying, like whatever new he's working on. So I feel like MI5 has a plan to sort of leave Villanelle and Eve sort of out there on their own. So maybe their plan is to have, I don't know if Villanelle kills him or some kind of way where it's like Villanelle and Eve kind of end up taking the rap and they kind of don't have the backup that they thought. That's what I think. So.
I wonder if it all turns back on Nico if they pin him on it. I was already wrong in my prediction that we weren't going to see much of him because he's proven to still be a pretty important character. And I don't think Eve is going to be happy knowing that, I mean, yeah, they broke up, but I don't think she's going to be stoked on the idea that Villanelle's keeping him in a closet.
No.
Yeah,
She
it'll be
might not care
interesting-
that much about Gemma.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how he gets out of that because I'm sure Villanelle didn't really leave any evidence. So it'll be interesting. He'll probably, you know, he may maybe next season or I don't know. But is he going to get charged with murder? Because I don't know if Gemma really.
I mean, yeah. But would you lock yourself in the room with someone you just killed? That kind of, if I was a detective coming in, I'd be like, all right, you're locked in here too. So part of me would be like, something.
That's true, but I could see Villanelle somehow manipulating
That's true. That's true.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she
so-
gets away with cold-blooded murder. So
All the time.
I wonder, you
this is
know,
true.
how hard it is for her to get out of
Exactly.
this one. But
Exactly.
thank you guys for your input. Always good conversation. Of course, we would love to know what you guys at home are thinking. All the AfterBuzz comments help us dissect this episode even more.
Yes,
So
please do.
this is actually my last episode with you guys because I won't be here for the last. I can't believe I'm missing the finale, but I know it's in good hands, and you guys are gonna fully break it
We'll take
down
care.
in all the ways.
We'll try to do our best.
Yes, we will.
Well, thank you guys again. I am Haley J. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at HeyJ, HAYJ_.
And I'm Deliah Gomez. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at It's Deliah Gomez.
And I'm Erika Edwards. You can follow me on all of my social media at Erika, ERIKA, as in door, Edwards.
Bye, guys.
Ciao for now, folks.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.